Yo, what is up? Giancarlo, the Fancast Live podcast. So this is the portion of the New York Mets schedule that softens up from this point till the end of the season, where the Mets will only face two teams. Two teams that are over 500. That'll be the Milwaukee Brewers in a series that starts September 19th. And then, of course, the second to last series of the season against the Atlanta Braves in Atlanta, that a lot of people feel will determine who wins and who loses the NL East. We are hoping that the Mets hang on and win this NL East and grab that first round bye so that we don't have to play in a wild card series. So the Mets are freshly coming off a series win against the LA Dodgers at Citi Field, taking 2 of 3 in that series. This was a series that I felt the Mets were not going to win. They were a team coming into that series that were averaging, I think, 2.8, 2.9 runs a game in their last 7 or 8 games coming into that series. And I just didn't think that the Mets had it offensively to beat a, really good offensive Dodgers team. But they found ways to do it. They've been doing that. They've been consistent with that all season. They've taken advantage of their opponent's errors, and the Dodgers made some errors in this series that pretty much cost them. Otherwise, this could have been a series win for the LA Dodgers. But starting pitching has been phenomenal. Was phenomenal in that series. The back end of the bullpen obviously was really, really strong, and obviously, they got timely hitting, and they had some good base running and good defense, and of course, they showed a strong ability to win the low-scoring game. It was a huge win. The Mets obviously win the season series against the Dodgers. If you remember back in June, I believe it was. Excuse me, the Mets split a 4-game set in LA. The Dodgers had won the first 2 in that series. The Mets win the next 2. If you guys remember, the Mets were thin during that series. They had some injuries. They had some pitchers missing in their rotation. I believe Scherzer was out, and I forget who else was out at that time. But the Mets found ways to overcome adversity and split the 4-game set in LA, so that was really good, and to beat the Dodgers here at home in the 3-game set was really nice. So the Mets win the season series 4-3. So like I said before, this is the part of the schedule that softens up for the New York Mets. They will only face 2 teams that are over 500 in the next 29 now. It would have been 30 games last night. But they won against the Nationals. So let's get to that game against the Nationals. The Mets won 7-3. This was a game where the Mets got off to a pretty good start, and it was Eduardo Escobar who came up with 1 out and 1 on, and takes a Josiah Gray pitch to first or second deck there in right field to give the Mets the early 2-0 lead. The Mets would eventually take a 3-1 lead in this game, and then David Peterson, tripped and fell a bit and allowed the Nationals to come back and tie the game at 3-3. So let's forward to the 6th inning where the Mets offense comes to life. And here is Pete Alonso leading off the bottom of the 6th inning with a solo shot that would give the Mets the 4-3 lead. Eventually is the game winner, his 26th game-winning hit of the season. With Escobar now at the plate, he hits a fly ball with a runner on third. The sac fly brings in another run to make it 5-3. Kana, who is following in there, gets thrown out at second. That was the second time the Mets got thrown out on a sac fly. There's Nito again, an RBI single, his second RBI of the game. He was big in this game. And then Nimmo here hits a shot to center field that Robles misplays. It looked like he took a step in and then realized that ball was going back and wasn't quite quick enough to get back to get to that ball, and Nimmo ends up on third, and the Mets take the 7-3 lead. They would never look back, and the Mets would eventually win 7-3. David Peterson pitched 5 1/3 innings, giving up 3 runs on 8 hits, struck out 6 and walked only 1. Givens was the key player here in the bullpen, who he had been struggling since coming to the New York Mets in the trade at the trade deadline. He goes 1 2/3, giving up no runs, no hits, striking out 1 and walking 1. That was probably his best. Actually, it was his best outing as a New York Mets reliever. Joely Rodriguez and Seth Lugo pitched the eighth and ninth innings to shut down the Nationals and allow the Mets to win this game 7-3. So now the Mets go in game 2 of this series tonight against the Washington Nationals, and it's Max Scherzer on the mound for the New York Mets. Brandon Nimmo is going to lead off and play center. Marte in right field batting second. Francisco Lindor at shortstop batting third. Pete Alonso is going to DH tonight and hit fourth. Mark Hanna is in left field batting fifth. Darren Ruff is going to play at first base, and he's going to hit sixth. Jeff McNeil, who was 3 for 4 last night, he is now hitting .319 on the season. He's got his eyes on that batting title this year. He's been tremendously good in the second half of the season. Eduardo Escobar is batting eighth, playing third base, and it's McCann behind the plate catching for Max Scherzer. So Max Scherzer is going to go up against Patrick Corbin. Patrick Corbin, who was the last pitcher for the Nationals, starting pitcher, who had a win in the last 43 games. So there you have it. The New York Mets will once again take on the Washington Nationals tonight. Max Scherzer on the mound. He's looking for his 200th career win. Hopefully the Mets will do what they need to do offensively to get him that 200th win, because it would be great for him to get that in a New York Mets uniform. Obviously, he will eventually get it in the New York Mets uniform, but what better time to do it against one of his former teams, the Washington Nationals. That's all I got. Till the next time, peace. Let's go Mets.